Hi, I'm Bill Ritchie, and a friend of mine gave me the idea of taking an image from the web, processing the picture in Photoshop, and then printing it out on a laser print on silicone-backed label stock. This is shipping label paper, and I printed these two pictures out of my friend, actually, and I thought I would transfer that to copper and then etch it and print it for this little videotape. But before I transfer it, I thought I'd do a little marking up on the laser print in the black areas with I've got a X-Acto knife here, and I can scratch off the toner like that, so it's not just a straight photograph. One of the advantages of this process is that you can write on it. You can, write longhand, or you can print words and whatnot, and they'll be coming out, just like they would, like white writing on black ground. But when you transfer it to the plate, they'll be backward. But when you print them, they'll be rightward again. So if you want to write in your etching, or put numbers in, or something like that, this is a good way to do it. There. Now I've made a pretty good mess of it. Next I have to take several steps. First I've already beveled the edge of the copper plate so it's not sharp. Don't want it to hurt my laminator, which is one of the next steps, or my felts in my printing press when I print it. So I've beveled the edges. I've scrubbed it down with some fine steel wool just to kind of take the shine off of it. And then I have to degrease it. Degreasing means you wash it with vinegar and salt, let it dry, and then I'll put these two together, run them through the laminator, run them through about 4 or 5 times just to be sure that that plate is completely hot, and the laser toner will stick to the copper plate. Like I said, I do that about 4 or 5 times, and then I bake it in a toaster oven, and I don't know what the setting is, like 350 degrees, 400 degrees, something like that. And that will make sure that that toner is well fused to the copper plate, very hard. I can still do some work in the black area, so while that's heating up, maybe I'll just try that. But the ground isn't very strong right now. It's kind of fragile. It needs to be fused even harder. It's kind of a dull look to it. When I'm done fusing it in the oven, it'll be kind of shiny, and that's when it's the toughest. Beautiful. You may have noticed when I peeled back the paper, there was one little tiny spot there, and that's where it is here. And when you see that happen, that means you've got to put something there to keep that from being a big hole, which is what's going to happen if I etch it the way it is. So I'm going to put some tiny specks of some stop out. I'm going to use a universal etching ground. It's really easy to handle. Well, now it's ready to etch, and I'm going to put some of this transparent contact paper on the back so that the etchant won't eat away on the back of it, and wrap up the extra areas with shipping tape or something like that. Most people use ferric chloride, and ferric chloride is a good etchant. It's odorless, not toxic, pretty harmless to human beings. But it eats copper and brass. But you have to etch it upside down. That's the only funny thing about it. But that's pretty easy to overcome that little obstacle. So I recommend ferric chloride. It's about a quarter of an inch, half inch maybe above the bottom of the tray. This is not fresh ferric chloride. It's been used a number of times. I don't know how many times. I just use it until it's not working anymore, and then I throw it away. I wash it down the drain with lots and lots of running water. It's a mineral salt, no more harmful than table salt in my opinion as far as the environment goes. I would welcome anybody to tell me otherwise. Looks like it's not quite deep enough to cover that in, so I think I'll add a little more from my gallon jug. I'll bite this for about 10 minutes, or I don't know. I won't know how deep it's etched until I take it out and look at it with a magnifier. The way I make prints is in stages. I do it through many stages, or states they're called, and I don't even take a print until I really have no idea what it's going to look like, and then I take a trial proof. Sometimes I'm lucky and it works the first time, but usually not. Usually I have to go back and rework it. When I make my Halfwood presses, I usually test them with this kind of process, and sometimes I get to make a brand new plate to test each one. This one is kind of an experiment to see how that process of taking photographs off the web or any kind of digital photograph, treat it with Photoshop and transfer it to metal plate with the laser printer on silicone transfer paper, which is just the backing from label stock that I threw away the labels and use the back, the shiny side of the back. If I agitate this constantly, it's better than if I just let it sit. Probably speeds it up about twice. Whereas it might take 5-10 minutes sitting still. If I agitate it, it'll probably go in 5 minutes. Now I've rinsed it all off, and looks pretty nice. I can see it better if I give it some of that vinegar and salt treatment again. I call this pickling it with vinegar and salt. That cleans it up, brings all that, takes all that oxides out, makes it more visible. And now I think I could probably print it. I'll look at it with a magnifier just to be sure. It was about 10 minutes, I think. I'll blot that dry. I look at it with a magnifier. Give me a better idea how much etch is there. Not much, but you don't want to etch too long. If you do etch too long, it'll bite away some of the finest spots. But now I can print it after I strip off the plastic back. Dry it off completely, ink it up, print it. Now, most people would tell you you have to take the ground off first, but lately I've been thinking, well, what for?
why not just leave it on and see what happens? Besides, if you decide you want to etch it some more, you'll have pretty good ground on it already. Plus, there are some other etching techniques to try, like aquatint. Ready to print.